Maseches Vavekame, Daf Kuf Yud Amud Aleph in the bottom of the page. Please stop talking. Thank you. We are online. Kuf Yud, millions of people are watching us right now. 300 million people are watching us. Right there. So now Kuf Yud, we watch you also. Kuf Yud Amud Aleph in the bottom of the page. Gufa. 4 lines from the bottom of the page. And we are learning this Shiur Nishmat Avi Meiri Menachem Ben Akiva. בס שלום סור בס מוישה ולרפואה סיודית בס רבקה ושתפורו בס שושנה מלכה שמואל אברהם בן יהודי ובס תומו סור בס נחומו גופה יהודית בס רבקה. We said already Gufa, thank you. Gufa, we're going back to something we spoke about before. Omar Rove, we're learning today about the Gezel Hager. When a person stole from a ger, and then he confessed, then he swore, then he confessed. What does he have to give the ger? Had the ger stayed alive, then you'd have to give the ger keren and chomesh, the principal that he stole, and an extra fifth, which is really a quarter. And then what? Also bring an asham to Beis Hamikdash. But that was not the story, because Mr. Avreimele ben Avreimele Mackenzie died. And what? And who do you have to bring the korban to? The korban is the same, obviously, but who do you have to bring the keren to? The kohanim. To the kohanim. Very nice. Says Rove, Gezel ager shechzir balayla. If you came to in the middle of the night to the kohanim, knocked on the door Beis Hamikdash, or maybe gave it to a Kohen who's right now in Yerushalayim at night. So then you gave back the money at night, the money itself, lo yotzo. You're not yoitze. You have to give again, or I don't know what you have to do, but you're not yoitze the shova. Why? Why is that? Soon we'll see why. Echziru chatzoin, lo yotzo. Let's say you gave back $500,000 today, $500,000 tomorrow. Yeah, you did it in installments. Can I pay it in installments? You know, you ask the whoever or the dentist. Yeah, so here, no, there are no installments, all in one go, one payment only, a debit card. My timer, why is it that you have to treat the money that way? Oshom kari rachmono, because the Torah calls the actual money oshom, which means this money actually belongs, as we said, to the person himself, to the ganev. Because me'ikar din, the money of the ger that is in my possession when he died, belongs to me. If I'm the ganev or if I'm not the ganev. Elamai, there's a special kapara that I have to give the money to Beis Hamikdash. Moreover, the Torah calls that money oshom. Mimela, just like a korban cannot be brought by night. You can't bring a korban by night. No such thing ever. You can't do zrika sadam by night. You can continue just the burning, the extra. But a korban itself, the real crucial part of the korban, can never be brought by night. And also, you can't bring half an oshom today and half an oshom tomorrow. You can't cut the animal to half and bring one today, the rest tomorrow. No such thing. Therefore, the money too has the same halacha and is considered like osham, so you can bring it at night, and you cannot bring it half. You can bring it in installments. Another statement by Rove. By the way, this is a very unique gufa, Rabbi Kiveger says, because usually gufa means we're going to delve into this issue, and here we don't. We're not going to talk about this exactly anymore, but we're going to talk about another similar case. That's why it's a gufa. We're going to develop similar cases now. Another case. I wondered about that right from the start. Let's say the ganev stole something worth 50 prutos. He stole something, I don't know, yellow cheese, slice of yellow cheese worth 50 prutos. And you know how many kohanim are there in that mishmar, in that week when he has to bring it back with Osham? There are 100 kohanim. Even I know that if it's 50 prutas by 100 kohanim, that means that each kohen, and we said each kohen should get an equal part. That means each kohen is getting half a pruta. Bad news. Then he did not actually, cannot tick the box. Yeah, he did not fulfill the mitzvah of paying back or giving the atonement of the keren empty. My time. Why is that? It says the osham has to be returned. Return means you get a return. Tax return means you get some money. Each and every coin has to get something in his hands. So what do you do if really it's 50 prutos and there are 100 kohanim? So says Rashi, and that's Machlokes Rishonim. Rashi says you add a bit of money from yourself. You add money from your own pocket in order to be mashlim, to complement, to make up for the missing amount. That's what Rashi says. Other Rishonim argue, no questions now, I'm sorry, 1 second. Other Rishonim argue and say, Mapitom, what does one have to do with the other? This is the money of the Gezel Ager, and that's your own money. That's like you're giving a separate matana. Well, how is the two connected? I thought to understand Rashi better, that's my humble idea, is that Lamaisa, as I stressed before, even the money that you give, the basic money that you stole from the girl, is not really the money of the girl you're turning to them, right? It's your money that one way or the other goes to them, which makes us understand Rashi better, which means this is my money from one box, from one pocket, from one source, and that's my money from what I earned yesterday at work. But at the end of the day, there is connection between my money and my money. That's where I understand Rashi. Other Rishonim are not so happy. And they say, if you have less than a pruta per Kohen, you're not Yoitze. What's the solution? Go jump in the lake. Or another solution we're going to see soon, go to another mishmar that has less kohanim, that sometimes works. In other words, let's say this week I know that the mishmar, I go to beisamikdash.co.il. You check and you see online how many kohanim are working today in Beis Hamikdash. That's going to happen next week, And what? And you see the internet will be kosher. There will be no preachers in the world at all. So then what? Then you go in the Beis Hamikdash, you see this week there are 100 kohanim. Oh, that's not good for me because my 50 pruta will be spread too thin. But maybe next week there'll be only 50 kohanim, and then each one will get a pruta. So I'll bring my ashram and my money next week. That is also a solution. That's what I would do. Okay? You get 2 for the price of 1. You get everyone to get the pruta, and also you get to postpone something. Don't we love postponing? Amazing. There's a kiss. Sorry, please, in honor of Queen Elizabeth, please wait for the American. He was before you. The American. Yeah. Whoa! Before we continue, I have to show you big news, and that is as follows. I was vacillating yesterday, and I'm happy I was. Sometimes you have questions which you think you're stupid. Sometimes you have questions where you thank Hashem for the question. I kept vacillating between, and thank you for indirectly reminding me, what exactly happens when it's not one coin from out of the mishmar. If it's one coin that just landed on them, woo, from out of the mishmar, now is a mishmar of Yehoyoriv. Now the coin who really belongs to Yidaya, they used to live in Tzipori, which is Tzfat, we say. He hailed on them from Tzfat, and he brings his own korban. Why? Because 2 days ago he turned on the light on Shabbos by mistake. That's his own chatz, it's his own thing. He does his own zach, and he does. Let's say he's healthy and wealthy and good and can do everything. Not a balmum and not a tomeh. He'll work, he'll eat, and also can give them stam if he's nice to them. He'll give them some meat and get it. That's clear. My question was, in a more simple level, a regular kohanim in a regular mishmar. Let's say in the mishmar you had 50 kohanim. Okay, nagid. So now not all of them would be involved in the korban. The Ramban says between 1 and 3 kohanim. One does the Kabbalah, does Rika, Halachos, Rika. So who really gets to eat the meat? On one hand, it says in the Torah, Parshas Tzav, in Leviticus 7, it says over there, V'ikra Zayin, that the Kohen Makriv Lo Yeh will be for the Kohen. And yet from the feel over here from the Sugya, it looks like all the Kohanim get it. And we'll see later on, is it one Kohen or everybody? There are several answers due to my genius fingers that can go through Oitzer Chochmah, geniosity to find Oitzer Chochmah sources. They say that's a new miktzah in Torah, how to find things in Oitzer Chochmah. I finally got from Achronim to Rishonim to the Ramban on the Torah. Wow. What does the Ramban say? It says very simple. Let's say there are 50 kohanim in the Mishmar, let's say, and only 3 or 4 do the korban. Everybody gets to eat, all 50 gets to eat from the meat of the korban. Why? It says in Torah Kohen. Says Ramban, listen to this. Those 2, 3, 4 kohanim who do the avodah are the shlichim of everybody else. So it's as if all 50 kohanim brought the korban physically, and therefore they all get rights lechatchila to get the share in the korban meat, including Baalei Mumin. Baalei Mumin are not bringing it. How do they get the food? I was going crazy. And even yesterday I was a bit vacillating. So now I'm Baruch Hashem, I got it clear. So you have a new idea, which many Bnei Torah even didn't know. That again, if a korban is brought by 3 kohanim, Panovich, Kana, and Azulai, all three kohanim brought the korban, and there are other 40 kohanim around, yeah, whoever they are, Kaplan and Kaplanovich and Kohen. What about them? They also get the share because it's as if everybody bought the korban because they're the shluchim of everybody else. That's Ramban in Parashat Tzav, Perek Zayin, Pasuk, somewhere at the beginning. Yes, and then we continue. Weiter, yeah. Boy, Robert. Last question. Not last question. The question which is asked at the very, very end of Kuf Yud Amud Aleph. Rob asks the question. Remember, so I don't have to repeat it all the time. Yehoyariv were the first mishmara in the rota, in the biannual rota. Idaya were the second ones, and they're going to be our friends for the next few days. So remember, Yehoyariv, maybe Riv is fight. You start by fighting, uneducational. Riv of Hashem, Yehoyariv, Hashem will fight. Yehoyariv are the first ones, and then Yidaya, the knowledge comes later. Yeah, you first fight when you're a little kid in Gan, and later on you become more knowledgeable, you stop fighting, okay? So Yariv are first week, second week are Yidaya. Good? Fine. Let's say Mishmar of Yehoyariv, for them, Ein Bo. What does it mean, Ein Bo? There isn't enough for everybody. My 50 pruta loot that I'm bringing back is not enough for Yehoyariv. They have 100 people. However, Yidaya, the second week, they have 50 people, pruta per each. That's nice. Mahu, what's the halacha? What do you mean, what's the halacha? What would you do? I would bring it next week. I'll wait for Yidaya, right? What's the rush, baby? I'll bring it, next week, where each one will get pruta, and then selavi and finished and good. Well, what's the story? What's your question? What's the problem? If he gave it to Yidaya, to the second week Mishmara, in which every Kohen gets his share, that's nice. So they all have it, and then you can write on the screen, happy end, the end, and everyone smiles and nice and all, very nice. What's the problem? Zok the Gemara, you know the problem is lo itzricha. I have a question here, says Rava. I'm Rava, I'm Namoira. I have a question. The Yaveli Daya b'mishmarta de Yoriv. Upa. You know what they did? Week 1. Where are the Yehoyariv in week 1? In Beis Hamikdash, working away. And where are Yidaya? They are in Tzfat. They're in Tzipori. What are they doing there? They learn Torah the whole day, and sometimes they drink coffee. And I hope they don't talk about politics. Whatever they do, Yidaya right now, they may be preparing for next week's work. Yidaya right now are not in Beis Hamikdash, and they're not working at all in Beis Hamikdash. They're somewhere else. And you know what he did? He actually says, "Listen, I don't have time to wait for next week. I'm going to give it to Yidaya too early, not in Beis Hamikdash, not in the right time, and I'll give it to them. You know why? Because they're the ones who will get 1 pruta per person. And if I go now to Beis Hamikdash to meet Yehoyariv, I won't be able to do Hashava. I want to do Hashava now. You know, he's a spoiled child. He wants everything right now, or maybe he's reason Makdimim. And therefore, he wants to give Hidayah now out of place and out of time. What would be the halacha? Well, one way I would say, shall we say, excuse me, mister, it's not the right mishmora. Hidayah are now off guard, not off guard, off duty. They're off duty. They're not the mishmora. It's a nothing, right? Do you think it will be smart of me to come tomorrow to shul with a lulav in my hand and start shaking the lulav? Then you'll know I'm crazy. You won't think so. They will be certified. You know, it's not the right time. Bichlal, what's going on? What? He has to give that. He has to do the hashava. Lichor, it's not hashava because he's not doing it to the right mishmar. What he wants to gain? He wants to have everyone getting part of the pruta. That each one would have a pruta. Oh, Dilma, it's really, really wrong. No. I really don't like something with Akira. That's abysmally wrong now. Oy Dilma, or maybe you can only understand one side of Akira if you also understand the other one. You can't appreciate the light if you don't know the darkness. Oy Dilma, or maybe. What's it sad to say it's okay? What kind of thing is that? How can I give people the wrong mishmara? Cayman Deloy Chazile Mikoro says the Gilsa to Yehoyariv. Since Yehoyariv that are now in Beis Hamikdash, and I go now to Beis Hamikdash, give it to Yehoyariv, they cannot accept it. Why? Yoyor who are right now working in Beis Hamikdash cannot accept it. Why? Because they would get too little. Each Yehoyarivnik, each Yehoyarivist would get how much? Would get less than pruta. Lidoyokai. Mimele this week it belongs to Idaya. Wow, Teiku. Let me explain a beautiful, beautiful lomdus that we have over here. We all know already that from the Mishnah, Lechatchila, the good, nice, regular story would be to give it in the right week, to the right people, in Beit HaMikdash, and each one would get a pruta and then would have a smiling face at the end of the story. However, here, it's not so simple. He wants to give the Hashava this week. Why? Because Hashava Maisa. Because next week he's flying to New Zealand on a Shlichus Chabad for the next 10 years. Because he wants to do it this week. Let's leave that out of this story, why he does it. As our colleague would say, Hashava Maisa. However, there's a lomdisha question over here. Do you say that you have to give it to the people in Beis HaMikdash, and therefore, if you give it to anybody out of the Mishmorah, we're not in the right time, it's a nothing. And that would be the tzad, we would say naturally, to give it to Yedaya before they're even working, that's out of line. It's like taking a lulav on Shavuot. Yeah, crazy. Or maybe not. The point is to, yes, give it to the right people in Beis HaMikdash, not to give it to other people. You have to give it to the people in Beis HaMikdash and not to others. But if the people in Beis HaMikdash cannot receive it, if they don't have a halachic hand to receive it, because each one would get less than pruta, then mimela they are not mekablim. So this week I'm not mechuyev to give it to people in Beis HaMikdash, and by default I can give it to the best next thing, which are the current kohanim who are now drinking coffee in Tzipori. Because again, it's not about. The question is not giving it to people outside Beis HaMikdash. It's strafe to give it out, not outside the time of Mishmorah, and then it would be possible. What do? Don't give. Don't fly to Thailand. Don't do. Or do we say no? There is yes a mitzvah to give to the people who are waiting for it and are potentially are supposed to get it. And if you don't do that, you're like mivatel that and giving to other people, it doesn't work. But if the people in Beis Mikdash right now are not potential recipients, then I don't have recipients of the Mishmorah. Mimela, I have no problem to give it to other people. It's Avas Mordechai or Sinas Haman. Get me? In other words, it's the negative or the positive. The second side, again, is harder to understand, so I'm explaining. The reason why you can, yes, allowed to give it to Yedaya, who are now absolutely not in Beis HaMikdash, and they're now up north in a Tiyul, I can give it to them, a little bit of the Tiyul to Golan, because the only reason why I should give it to them, because I am supposed to give it to people in Beis HaMikdash. But if the people right now in Beis HaMikdash cannot receive it, because for them will be too little per person, they're not a potential Mekabel, they're not a potential recipient of the story. Mimela, I can go to whichever Kohen. Mimela, this week, Beis HaMikdash is off duty regarding Gezel Ger. Mimela, give it to the Kohen, which is the second best. And these are the people of Yedaya or the people of whoever. I think both. Boy, another question. Kohanim, mal shiachleku gezel ager keneged gezel ager. Cool question. Which means there is a halacha also learned from Parshas Tzav. Is a little hakdama. The Gemara is going to say it soon, but you have to know it before the Gemara says it. I'll ask you the following question. Let's say you said you don't like some vegetables. Okay. Let's say some people like to eat veal, and others like to eat mutton. They like the lamb. Okay. So let's say today in Beis HaMikdash, there was, to make it very simple, there are 100 kohanim, 50 of them like lamb, and the other 50 like veal. And there were two korbanos, veal and lamb. Okay, let's sit down for kodshim dinner, and it's all kodshim. The kohanim eat it with kedusha v'tahara. They put the Heinz ketchup in it. You're allowed to. And then what? And then they say, wait a minute. It says, as I told you before, each and every kohen gets a share in the veal, and each and every kohen gets a share also in the lamb. Okay, so now, or in menachas, the original pasuk is about menachas. Some people like them fried, some people like them in the oven. So can we switch the food? I always used to switch my sandwich with other children's sandwiches because other kids in class liked my sandwich and I liked the other kid's sandwich, and it would switch, and my mother never knew. Okay, so then, but I swapped, it's called, yeah. So now, all very nice. Can you do that in Beis HaMikdash? Can you swap food? In other words, can I say, I'll take the entire veal, the entire portion of veal, and you'll take the entire portion of lamb, although Me'ikar Adin was supposed to share both. Yes or no? The answer is no. The question is what the condition. Begadol, generally speaking, you're not supposed to. Each and every con supposed to each every morsel of every korban. Not every morsel. Each and every con supposed to get a share in each korban, in each mincha, and not to swap and switch. Now, it's not supposed to. It's osur, but it's not done. We'll explain later why. But lemaisa, this is not the done thing. L'chatchila, not supposed to do it. Why? Because I'll explain to you already now. The Rishonim explain that if everybody wants to have the swap, then it's okay. There's no chiyuv in each coin, like the Yiddish mama tells you, you have to eat the soup, you have to eat the chicken, you have to eat the cholent. No, not every coin has to eat everything, but the parts of meat and meal offerings that they had were not their own money completely to switch over. Like I can force you to, let's say, divide a soda, right? Bava Basra people were with us. Let's say, if you and I have a chotzer and we are shutfim, we have a courtyard of 8 amos, I can force you to split. I want to split from you. I have 4 amos, you have 4 amos. I can force you to split, even though you don't want. Mashenkin here with the meat, if everybody wants to split the meat, b'vakasha. But if one guy says, let's split, and the other one doesn't, you cannot force him. Why? Because it's not your money. The meat of the korbanos are Hashem, and He gives it to you as a gift. But it's not yours completely to make dealing with it is not what you're supposed to be doing. So l'chatchila, the correct way is each one gets a share of each korban and each mincha and each everything. Question aboirove kohanim. Imagine yourself that gezel ager is not money, and that helped me a lot when I saw the Rambam. The Rambam says gezel ager can be the actual item. So let's now talk about. There are 2 gezel agers that came today. Wow, today was a lucky day for gezel ager. One gezel ager, he brought a big bar of chocolate that he stole, still nice and fresh. Very nice big bar of chocolate. And the other gezel ager was a nice bag of marbles. Everybody wants to play marbles, obviously, yeah. So now the question is like this. I love chocolates, you love marbles, yeah, and I didn't lose my marbles. And so what? I'm going to get all the chocolate, you'll get all the marbles. Is that okay? Or do we all have to share gezel again? Because we said it's like a korban. So do we say that, Lamaisa, we have to share the chocolate half-half and the marbles half-half, the 100 marbles in the bag 50-50, or no? Can we, yes, do the swapping, unlike a korban? Let's see the question. Mi amrin, and shall we say, Osham Kari Rachmana? We said before that the money stolen from the ger can be and should be treated like what? Like a korban, like you can't bring it at night. The money is like a korban. If so, same thing. Ma osham ein cholkin osham keneged osham. Let's say there are 2 korbanos osham, one from a young lamb, the other one from an adult ram, and we cannot swap, and I'll get all the ram and you get all the lamb. You cannot do that. We have to share each and every item and split between us. Av gezel ager, ein cholkin gezel ager keneged gezel ager. So to be gezel ager, no, you can't. You all have to share the chocolate bar, and you all have to share the marbles. Or dilma, or maybe not. Gezel ager mamoinu. Maybe you should say the gezel ager is money. At the end of the day, gezel ager is not a korban; it's money, as opposed to what korbanos that have the heiligkeit, the kedusha of korbanos, and each and every kon should share part of the kedusha. Here, no, gezel ager is sort of like a secular thing at the end of the day. I have a question on that. I have, but I'm waiting with a question. I'm waiting with a question. Adar Poshto, then afterwards, Rava himself answered his own question. Asham Kari Rachmono. The Torah calls it Asham, which means what? It has the same halacha like a korban, and therefore no splitting. Again, if everybody wants to split, then maybe yes. But if one coin out of 100 refuses to split, then you don't split. In other words, yeah, we don't follow majority rules. It's not vadabai. It's not like splitting money in a secular way. Yeah, only if everybody wants to say that, but otherwise, no. And same thing, but gezel again. Each and every each and every coin would get, a piece of chocolate, and each one would get a few marbles. What we said is a question and an answer by an Amoiro, he says that as a mefursha statement, not as a question, but as a statement. Statement, no question. Kohanim just don't do that. They're not supposed to split one item of gezel ager against the other. My time. Why is that? Osham kari rachmono. My question is, oh, thank you for your patience, Akiva. Yes, what can I? Rabbi. The question is like this. Why does the Gemara have a question all of a sudden? Up until now, we said regarding each and every detail that the money is called Osham. Why is it that over here all of a sudden we have a question, we say it's just secular money? Remember, we have two sides. We have a side to say, we have a tzad to say, yeah, this is just like secular money, just like you and I are partners in the marbles and partners in the chocolate factory from Charlie, and what we can split half. Same thing over here, mapitom. Why did the Gemara think that this is like regular money all of a sudden? My answer is, and my chavrusa gave me a skoma. Ooh, that's big. The chavrusa agreed with me, and that is what? When the person brings it from the aspect, from the point of view of the miskaper, the one who needs kaporo, the one who needs atonement, mitzido, the way he has to bring it is like a korban. He should not bring it at night. He should not bring it half-half. He should not, we'll see later other things. Now, the loot, excuse me for the word, is already in the hands of the kohanim. He's gone. Bye, Mr. Ex-Ganav. Hashem loves you with a nice sticker. Now they're sitting down to split the loot. After he gave his korban, so to speak, in their hands, that could be already maybe treated as secular money. You get what I'm saying? Mitzido, in his hakrova, in his bringing the money, he has to give it by day, he has to give it by samikdash, he has all the details. But once it's converted into their hands, in their hands, it's just money. The money originated from Kedusha, Shkoyach. Who says that matters? However, the Gemara answers no. The Gemara says that really they're not real Kedusha. The standards of Osham, of Korban, stay even after it's in their hands, right? And then we say that they have to eat, each and every one has to split everything. Like a regular Korban, he was first for a change. Ellen was before you. Yes. Boy, Robin. Here comes another Lomdish question, and again it's Robin. Kohanim begezel ager. When the Kohanim receive gezel ager, what is their status? How are they classified as? Yoshin havu or mekabel matonos havu? Lomdish. Do we say that they're considered as heirs? In other words, do we say that they get it straight from the ger? The ger has no yorshim. Says the Torah. You know who the yorshim are? Kohen, Kanovich, and Kana and Azulai, who are now working based on Mikdash. They're the yorshim directly. Or maybe the mekabel matonos. Why mekabel matonos? Remember we said 2 days ago, Hashem Avi Hagerin. He's the one who's related to the Kohen. Hashem inherited it from the Kohen. The Gemara says it. Not looked at me. And Hashem gave it as a gift to the Kohanim, because Kohanim get a lot of gifts from Hashem, and that's one of them, Shulchan Gavoya, it's called. They get it from Hashem's table. So do we look at them as direct heirs from the Yoresh, or do we look at it as if they got a gift from a Kodesh Baruch Hu? Correct the Gemara in very rude English. I hope you don't mind saying so. Who cares? L'may nefkamina. Who cares? Well, what difference does it make? You can classify them as Yorshim, as Mekablim, or as my grandmother. At the end of the day, they got the money. They got the marbles, everyone together. They got the cheese. They got the gezel, and they go home. Who cares whether the Yorshim, whether they have the status of Yorshim or the status of Mekablim, of gift recipients? Machpatli. Answers the Gemara, two brilliant answers, as the Gemara always does. Kigoin, shegozal chometz, ve. You see the little letters here? They fix it into ve over Lava Pesach. Remember the box of cookies? How much did it cost before the Jewish holiday of Passover? 20 shekels. Now, I don't know if you know, but Jewish people have this custom that during the Passover holiday, they don't eat leavened bread. You know, yeah, you've heard about it once. Good. We all have some faint memory of that. So now, Echamet Shover Lava Pesach. After you didn't hear about that? No, okay. So now, what happens when you can see I was in cure programs in the past? Yeah. So now the question is, after Pesach, how much is the box of cookies worth after Pesach? I like the motion with your hand. There's always zero, null, nothing. So now you tell me, because you all know it from already 3 times. Let's say if Avram Mackenzie Tzaddik Ager was alive, I stole from his house the box of cookies before Pesach, and after Pesach he confronted me, give it back to me. Can I give him back the box of cookies even though it's worth 0? As long as the box of cookies is there. The very original box of cookies, can I give it back to him and say, this is yours, and that's it? Yes. Because as Nezek Shenanika we say is Ein anika. In other words, this box of cookies, in secular eyes, is there. It's the same thing. The value is lost because of a side thing called halacha, which is a very important thing, but is not physically there. You can give him the box of cookies. However, people, and I think that's why I know I got confused. What would be if the dog ate it instead of the dog eating the homework? The dog ate the cookies of Mackenzie, and now Mackenzie comes to me and says, "Where are my cookies?" And I'm so sorry, the dog ate it. Anyhow, I don't owe you anything because it's worth zero. No, that I cannot say. Since the box of cookies is not there, I have to return the 20 shekels that it was worth before Pesach. Because now it's Dover Goren Mamoin, I have to give the money instead of the cookies. If I give back the cookies, I say, listen, I'm giving back the cookies. They're not worth anything. That's a side point. But if the box of cookies are not, that's stuff we've seen 3 times already. 1 second. If the box of cookies is not there, then I have to fork out of my pocket the entire 20 shekels. And by the way, it could be 1,000 shekels. Expensive whiskey can get much more than 1,000 shekels. Sorry for being so provincial. Yeah, whiskey of 2,000 shekels whiskey. You have to, now the whiskey is after Pesach is down the toilet. Now you have to fork out 2,000 shekels and give it to him because the whiskey itself is not there. Then I'm not welcoming questions so much now, but wait, yeah. It's not the dog ate. It's somebody's, not my dog, the neighbor's dog ate. It's out of sight. Someone stole it. So of Kamina. Now listen to this. Kigon shegozel chometz. In other words, the item which I want to give now to the kohanim, because I stole it from the ger, is chometz, the overall of a Pesach. So what happened? Somebody stole from the ger before Pesach, the cookies. After Pesach, you know what happened? The ger was so, I joined the Jewish people and somebody stole from me before Pesach, he fainted, heart attack. Yeah, naive guy. And what? And now the ger is dead, and that's after my confession and after everything. What do I have to do now? I have to go to Beis Hamikdash and give the kohanim what? Box of cookies. It's still there. The box of cookies I'll give to the kohanim, although it's worth zero, worth nothing. Give it to the kohanim and say, guys, you cannot eat it. Here's the gift, but you can't do anything with it. What a nice gift. That's the Gemara's question. If you classify them, if you define them as Yoshim, he's moirish to them what they got, which means Yerusha is not a thing of choice or gain. People many times not inherit. Yeah, inherit. People inherit things they don't like. A Jew, we saw in Daf Pei, can inherit 50 pigs from his father who's secular. Yeah, people inherit debts. People inherit all kinds of things, all kinds of trouble on the head. They inherit all inheritance is not necessarily a gain. It's an automatic thing. The guy closed his eyes, the father, you instead of him, honey, whether you like it or not. So Mimela, the box of cookies should go to the kohanim because they are the heirs. They got it. The yarshin, the box of cookies after Pesach. It's worth zero. I'm sorry. It's worth zero. What do you want me to do? Undo time, go to a time tunnel before Pesach. Whatever is left in the Yerusha, which is your Yerusha, Mr. Yidaya and friends, that's what I'm giving you. Yerusha. However, but if you say that the Gezel Ger is a gift, it's a gift from Hashem to them, then Hashem said, give them a matana, a gift. You did not give them anything, Mr. Gazlan. It's like dust, it's like dirt. In other words, when you say, come to the wedding with a gift, your wife tells you, we're going to so-and-so's wedding, giving you the gift. You can't give a gift. And right, dear Chassan V'Kala, here's a gift for you which you cannot use whatsoever. Mazel Tov. That's not a gift. A gift has to be of financial value, of monetary value. And since that gift has no value, Mimela, what shall you do? Give them 20 shekels instead. You now have to not give the kohanim the box of cookies, which is worth, like Yosef said, like this, but you have to give them 20 shekels or 2,000 shekels, however much it was worth for the fanciest Johnny Walker. You now have to give it to the kohanim in cash. These are the two tzedodi. We don't know what's halacha. Is it Yerusha Matana? I prefer. Okay. Quick. Yeah. No. Chatzon. No, Chomet Shavuot Pesach, you're not allowed to get any. No, you can't feed the dog. You can't do anything with it. Ask Shalom. Yeah, yeah, or burn it. After Pesach, you also burn, according to one opinion in the Mishnah and so forth. Yeah, burn it. Burn, baby, burn. Yeah, quick. Yes. Yes. He did against halacha, so now it's worth 0. Weiter. Rav Zeira asks the same question, but in a very different way. Rav Zeira also had the question, are the kohanim considered as yorshim, heirs, or are they gift receivers? But in a very different light. Rav Zeira says what I wanted to say to my chavrusa, and then I was happy Rav Zeira said that. He says, I don't believe in Rav's nafkamina. Because even if you say that they're supposed to be, you view them as receivers of gifts, still, haloi boilon, that's still not a question. It still would make a difference, and I would still give them the box of cookies worth 0, even though they're supposed to receive a gift. Why? That's the gift the Torah said to give them, which means the Torah says like this: whichever stolen goods are from the converts Yerusha and by the hands of the Ganav who was Nishma L'Sheker, whatever is there, that's the gift. As we say in the Heilig Yoloshan English, beggars can't be choosers, which means even if the Torah defined it as a gift and the gift is worth 0, you can still give it to them. Why? Because we rather thought gift means it has to be worth something. That's usually true. Over here, it's not a regular gift. It's not a chas and a gift. You give a Shlomi and Shprinzi to start a new home by Israel. No, this is, the Torah said, whatever the Kohen, whatever the ger has left and was stolen and blah, 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 all the other conditions, whatever is in his hands should be given to the Kohen. Sometimes it's worth 0. It doesn't make a difference. The Torah didn't say the kohanim should gain. The Torah said the kohanim should get. Shem loves me. That's the definition. According to Rav Zeira, the Torah didn't say kohanim should have a gain. They should get, receive. They should receive whatever is there. It should be defined as matana. I don't see any difference as Rav Zeira. Ella. So what? So according to Rav Zeira, how would we define the difference between a yoresh and mekabel in the following story? Kikami bailan. The question does apply to us. We would ask the question. Cool. Let's say there was a gezel ager. The one who stole from the ger was a rustler, you say? Rustler who steals many animals? Yeah, he stole 10 cows. 10 cows he stole from the ger. Mackenzie comes from Texas, and very nice. He has 10 cows, and the Ganovsky stole all 10 cows. What does he do now? Hey, he had the whole story. He swore, he lied, he confessed. Mackenzie died out of anguish and not out of anguish. And now what happens? Mr. Ganev comes to Beis HaMikdash with 10 cows in tow. Who? And he's now giving the Kohen 10 cows. Let's say one Kohen got 10 cows. One Kohen got 10 cows from Kezel Ager. Or 10 sheep or 10 something. Who cares? Why 10 dafka? Question is like this. We all know that just like Meiser applies to food, same way Meiser also applies to animals. If a person who breeds animals, he has 10 sheep. We all know from Rosh Hashanah, but it's also halacha. Yeah, every 10th sheep goes to Hashem as a korban. Do they or don't they have to separate a tenth, a tithe, a meister from those 10 animals that they received, the kohanim received begezel ager? What's the question? Yoshin havu, if you say that they're considered as yoshim, then what? Then they have to give. They have to separate a tenth, 1/10 of the loot of the gezel ager. They have to give to a korban. A Kohen also has to give a korban sometimes. The Omar, because it says in the Gemara, I think in Choros, Kohen betfisas habayis chayovin. If Yoshim did not yet split between them the goods, the father died, and usually it takes time until we split the goods, even in the nicest Yerusha in the world, right? So now, tfusas habayis means when everything belongs to everyone before the Yoshim separated the goods. So we, the 5 children of whoever if he bequeathed us 10 sheep, we have to give 1 sheep to Gavoya, 1 sheep to Beis Hamikdash. The kohanim also, if the kohanim are considered the direct yoshim of Avraham Mackenzie the Ger, they have to give 1 sheep or 1 cow or 1 thing, 1 goat to Beis Hamikdash, to the korban, or dilma, or maybe not. What was the other side? Maybe there are people who are like gift recipients. A gift is a different story. Vitnan, it says in the Mishnah in, I think, Nunvav, I think, in Bchoros, Alokeach, Vanitan lo b'matano, potum b'maisa behema. A person who received a gift of 10 sheep, measure yourself, a young couple, for the chasana, a guy comes and gives them 10 sheep, a herd of sheep, for the chasana. They live in Manhattan. It's very useful. Yeah, they get 10 sheep as a gift. So now they don't have to give a tenth to Hashem. Why? The Gemara says in Bechor so because the Torah compares Bechor of Behema to a Bechor of a human being. A Bechor human being, which is your own son, you never get as a gift. It's your biological son. Yeah, an adopted son is really not a Bechor. Yeah, and Mimela, so too, a Bechor of Behema and a Meiser of Behema that are always compared. If you get them as a gift, you don't give a Meiser. And here's an afkamina for the kohanim. Again, if the kohanim will receive the 10 behemos, if there are yoshim, they have to give. It's like your natural thing. Kilu was born by you. It's part of the dynasty. You got the 10 sheep. Give over 1 to Hashem. Mashenken, if you say that the kilo, the God is a gift, no. A gift receiver or a buyer are not mechuyev to give, are not obligated to give 1/10 to Hashem. And therefore what? They would not have to give it's not a teiku yet. My question, it never will be a teiku. The question is, what is the status of Gezer Ger? Do you view it as a Yerusha or a Matana? And here we go. Whoa, guys, you get my email yesterday. 24 Matnas Kehuna. Yeah. Good. Continue. Toshma. It says a very important brisa, which appears here, and also in Chulin Kuf Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. Esim v'Alva Matnas Kiyun and Nint L'Aaron L'Bonov. There are 24 gifts of kohanim that were given to Aaron and his children and his great children. V'chulei. The Kulan Nitnu. All of them have they were given. They were said over in the Torah. The Klal Uprat Klal Ubris Melach, which means if you go to Parshas Korach. Since Korach had his doubts and his kfir ideas about who should be the Kohen and who are you to tell me who will be the great Kohen v'chulei. So afterwards, to give chizuk, Hashem gave the parsha of Matnas Kehuna, not all, but many of the 24 things that Kohanim are supposed to receive are mentioned at the end of Parshas Korach, not the very end, but the end of Parshas Korach. And there's a klal uprat klal. We all know it's klal uprat klal. There's a general pasuk that talks about giving to the Kohen. Then there are a few matnas tiyuna mentioned there, and then again a klal. And after that klal, it says bris melach. Bris melach, a covenant, a treaty, a covenant of salt. What does salt have to do with the price of cheese? A salt is something that stays forever, right? The salt is something that never goes bad, and that's why, just like the salt never goes bad, so too the bris with Aaron the Kohen is eternal. Now, call him Mekayim, first wide line. Whoever is Mekayim, whoever fulfills his obligation and gives the Kohen whichever of the 24 gifts applies to him, which means just like many parts of the Torah were given in klal uprat klal, right? Many halachos in the Torah, I don't know, eating ma'aser sheni in Yerushalayim, many halachic details were given over in the format of klal uprat klal. So too, if you give the Kohen 24 gifts, it's as if you're mekayim the entire Torah. And also bris melach. And what's bris melach? Bris melach, where do we always put salt on something in the past and hopefully in the future? Korbanos. So if you gave the Kohen matnas kiyuna, it's as if you gave a korban. So if you give a Kohen meiser, you give a Kohen, you give the trumas meiser, let's say trumas meiser, challah, you give the Kohen in times when you could give the Kohen. It's two things. It's as if you fulfilled the entire Torah, and also it's as if you brought a korban. A housewife in, Dimona, she gives the challah to her friend, another Kohen family, she's as if she brought a korban to Hashem. That is it. And also, it's as if she fulfilled the entire Torah, Kol Torah Kula. This is the importance of Matnas Kiuna, and that's why Matnas Kiuna have that context of Klal Patu Klal. And after the Klal Patu Klal, at the end of the pasuk, it says Bris Melach. Now, the Elu we call it over Alem. Now, the negative side, whoever transgresses them, I'll keep the reshis against to myself. I'll keep the challah to myself. I don't have money to start giving the Kohen. I'll keep everything to myself. I'll fight with him over the skin of the korban. I'll get to myself. It's as if he broke all the verse in the Torah, and it's as if he did not bring any korban that he had to bring. The Elohen, here they come. Real size, 24 matnas kiuna, all listed over here. Esel b'mikdash. First of all, we have to classify them, and we split them to 3 different categories. And the first one is 10 in the Beis Hamikdash. 10 matonos are brought inside Beis Hamikdash. The Arba b'Yerushalayim. 4 of the gifts are given in Yerushalayim, more or less. The Eser b'Gvulim. What are Gvulim? Outside Yerushalayim, inside Eretz Yisrael. The other 10, the last group of 10, are brought in Eretz Yisrael, outside Beis Hamikdash. And here we start enumerating them and elaborating on them. Eser b'Mikdash. The 10 matonos that are in the Beis Hamikdash. One. You want to make a list? Number 1. Here comes number 1. Chatas behema. What's a chatas behema? Anybody? Chatas behema. We all know chatas behema. Yeah, chatas behema. Yeah, a person. What did you do? Okay, let's stop talking about turning on the light on Shabbos. Anything that, let's be serious now. Anything or almost anything that is chayv koris had it been b'mezid. Any transgression done b'mezid would be koris. Yeah, in most cases, if you do it b'shoigeg, not knowing it's osur or not knowing the detail, then you have to bring a korban chatos. Yeah, you had absolutely no idea. What? I was going to give you the example. You were stuck in a trip somewhere in, I don't know, in Laos, and you really didn't know it was Pesach. Somebody messed you up. The Chabad house was closed, and you innocently ate chometz, went on Pesach, thinking that it was Yom HaTzamut. You didn't know, whatever, Solomisa, you transgressed the Kodesh. We really didn't know. So then what? You have to bring a korban, come back to Eretz Yisrael, bring a korban chatas. Who gets the korban chatas? Well, the imurim, the fat part, the intestines, the chule, they go to the mizbeach. And who gets the meat? The rest of the meat, the kohanim. Which kohanim? Of who? That mishmar. Now we know the kohanim of this mishmar, all the other kohanim of that week working there, they get the flesh of the chatos. By the way, you realize it was skipped one korban, oilo. Who gets the meat of the oilo? Hashem. Not no one. Hashem. Very good. What about the skin? What about the skin? Later. The skin of the oilo and chatos, they also go to kohanim, but being deliberately ignored in this list, and soon you'll know why. The chatas ha'oif. What's chatas ha'oif? The guy says, well, let's say a tricky question. The guy came back from Laos and he ate chametz on Pesach by mistake because he didn't know it was Pesach. He thought it was something else. And then what? And then he says, I have no money to bring the chatas behema. I'll bring chatas oif. I'll bring a cheaper one. I'll bring a cheap korban from the turtle dove. Is that okay? No. So sorry. I really do like you. No. That's called chatas kavua. That's a common mistake. You're one of many people. It's okay. I'll feel good about yourself. No. Not every chatas can be played around with and have a sliding scale. This is not school tuition in America, No. Most chatas are called chatas kvua, and even if the guy's a pauper, he has to borrow money, do something, and give the korban. There are only 3 averos on which you can have the sliding scale of chatas ol v'yored. Okay? For example, chatas ol v'yored is, let's say, a person who entered Beis Hamikdash betuma. A person entered Beis Hamikdash while being tomeh, unaware of that, unknowingly. That person has a chatos of 3 options. The behema, if not, then he brings chatas oif, 2 turtle doves or 2 young doves. That's the thing. Or if somebody was nishba l'shekel, nishba that is going to eat pizza, didn't eat pizza. Or the third guy is the person who is the shvua is no. Oh yeah, lo mishane. There's another case. So some people only 3 averas. There's a sliding scale. They're being chatas oif. Or a lady gave birth, right? Lady gave birth, and mitzoira. Those people are not exactly choite, but they have to bring tahara process. The end of the tahara process is like zovo, zav, those are administration, those people bring chatas oif instead of the big animal. They can bring a chatas instead. Who gets the flesh of chatas oif? Only the kohanim. The mizbech only gets the blood. You don't give the intestines to the mizbech. Why? Because the bird steals. The bird eats from other people's fields. So its intestines are not brought on the mizbech. So what do? The intestines you throw to a hole. A hole was right on the right corner over there near Beis Hamikdash. She throws. It's a very hard thing to throw there, and the entire flesh goes to the kohanim. Number 3, the osham vadai. What's an osham vadai? The only 5 cases in which a person brings an osham gzelos, is our guy. Hey, Mr. Gazlan from Ger, not from Ger. Osham Me'ilos, somebody embezzled from Beis Hamikdash. She has to bring an osham shifcha charufa. A person had relations with a shifcha, which is half free, half slave, and she was married to an Eved Ivri, and he had relations with her. He gets the korban. And osham mitzoira, and mitzoira has to bring it at the end of the process. And an osham of a nozir also has to bring it if he messed up. 5. Osham tolui. Number 4. Please count them. Osham tolui. What's osham tolui? A person went to this very fancy restaurant and they served him a gala, piece of fat, real nice Jewish fat, and it was Jewish style. Yeah, so apparently somebody told him one piece was kosher 100 bedat, the other one was chaylev, but Jewish style. Is Jewish style good enough? I'm not sure. It was treif. It was chaylev from a behemoth. They look alike. It wasn't even kosher style. It was Jewish style. It was even worse, yeah? Rabbi Elizabeth, she gave the hechsher. Rabbi Elizabeth, she gave the hechsher, but it's not such a mehadrin. What am I trying to say in this joke? That really the person had a big question. Was he over an Isser Koris of eating chaylev? There are 2 pieces, and he's killing himself with a suffix. So meanwhile, until he finds out, he has to bring an osham tolui, an osham that would make his chet tolui pending. It's pending, so Hashem wouldn't punish him for now until he finds out one went on. He's going to talk to the mashgiach, whoever that is, yeah, and wants to wring his neck. That's besides the point. But lemaisa, until he finds out, he bring an osham tolui, which is the same as any other osham. It's also an ayil, el osham, elamai. It's just temporary until you find out what's going on. You get the osham for now. That's number 4, right? Number 5. Ziv chishal mitzibur. Ziv chishal mitzibur is a korban I never understand. I shouldn't say weird about a korban. Ziv chishal mitzibur basically is a very interesting hybrid. What's ziv chishal mitzibur? On the holiday that we just celebrated last week, Shavuos. What do you do in Beis Hamikdash in Shavuos besides staying up all night? Ziv chishal mitzibur. You bring 2 kvosim, 2 sheep, and together with the 2 breads. And those 2 sheep are brought as a korban. It's a korban which is only eaten by the kohanim, only eaten inside the zorah, right? And however, it's called shlomim. Why it's called shlomim is beyond me, and I never chapped it. Shlomim is usually a name for the lighter korban, for a korban eaten outside Beis Hamikdash, partially by Israel. Ziv chishal mitzibur is called that way. I think it once got pshat, but if you have a better pshat, I'll be very happy. Lamaisa, the meat of that korban also goes to the kohanim of the work then on Shavuos. So how many did we have? It's time to go home now. And we had 5 out of 10 of the korban. I just want to explain something which I'm not sure everybody here knows. When you talk about kodshim, and in here we'll finish, there's a very, very big dichotomy between kodshe kodshim and kodshim kalim, right? Kodshe kodshim are the holiest of the holy. I don't mean where the Kohen Gadol goes, which means korbanos, which are oilo, chatas, osham. They're only oilo, as you said, nobody eats. Chatas and osham are only eaten by male kohanim, only inside Beis Hamikdash at a higher level of kedusha. Kodshim kalim are eaten also in Yerushalayim, and usually partially also by the Israel, the chula. They have a lighter level of kedusha. It can be eaten also by Yerushalayim, also by the wives and slaves of the kohanim as well. That's a different story. Right now, we're in the highest of the height. We're talking here about kodshe kodshim. Okay, in the first section of 10. Yeah, very good. Not everyone says it every morning, but yeah, we should. Thank you.